Hey, what was that Flesh and Blood class that only had one adult hero? It's kind of just on the tip of my mind here. I can't wait. Oh yeah, Mechanologist. Yeah, the last time a Mechanologist adult hero was printed was back in Arcane Rising. Dash was the last Mechanologist adult hero, the first and the last. I would say it is about time that we got a brand new adult Mechanologist hero, with Dash being the only Mechanologist adult hero in the entire game of Flesh and Blood. It is my prediction that the very next main draftable Flesh and Blood set will feature a brand new adult Mechanologist, and it will feature many, many more cards for the Mechanologist class as a whole. In fact, I honestly think the next main Flesh and Blood set will take place in Metrics. And I have a few reasons for this. Not only do we only have a single adult Mechanologist, but Legend Story Studios has been dropping a little hints here and there, and they could also just be coincidences, but when they're giving out those massive checks to the Pro Tour winners that are from Teclo Industries, from Metrics, one can't help but think, maybe they're dropping a little bit of hints here and there as to where we are going to be going next. And I honestly think it is way past due, and I think Metrics is on the menu. So for today's video, we're going to talk about the top 5 cards you should pick up right now, because once the next Flesh and Blood set is announced, and it is a Metrics and Mechanologist themed set, a lot of these cards, which were only printed in Arcane Rising, Crucible War, and a little bit here and there in History Pack 1, these cards are going to spike in price. And if you have any interest in Mechanologist, now is the time to pick these cards up. Also, Dash is a pretty good hero in Classic Constructed and in Blitz, basically every single format, so you can pick some up and play with her now while the cards are still affordable and cheap. So let's get on with the top 5 list. What cards should you pick up right now? And before we get to the actual list, I do want to mention a couple very quick things. The first thing is that there are a good number of sideboard options right now for Mechanologists. These kind of like hate cards that exist, like Dissolution Sphere and Signal Jammer. Now these cards might be pretty good to pick up right now just because they're very cheap and they could see play in the future, but these are not actually on the list. They're just kind of ancillary to our current discussion. They might be relevant here or there sometime in the future. Also, all of the commons and rares, they're really cheap. You should maybe just pick up a full playset for like almost nothing. Like I said, the commons and rares, they're very, very cheap, and you can build a great commoner deck out of them. The other thing that I want to mention is my TCG Player affiliate link in the description down below. It's just Red Zone Rogue is my code, and you can buy anything on TCG Player, use Red Zone Rogue as the code, and it goes and supports me and the channel. So if you like what I do, that's a good way to do it. There's also various other affiliate links down there. You can check those all out, including my online store and all of that stuff. But let's get on with the list. The first card is Teclo Pounder. This is a great versatile card that gives you pump advantage over time. It basically gives you +6 worth of attacks over multiple different attacks. And why I like this on this list a little bit over stuff like the Induction Chamber, which is also very, very good, because this one applies to a myriad of attacks and not just Mechanologist pistol attacks. Who knows if the pistol is going to be a new meta-defining card? We don't really know what's going to be in store for Mechanologist, so I really, really like picking up generically good things right now, and this card is generically good. It already sees play, it can do a lot of damage, and it's just a really cheap card. Induction Chamber is kind of the honorable mention in regards to this because it's similar. It gives you some advantage over time. Induction Chamber can be used many, many times over the course of a game. It's a very, very good card, a staple for Dash because she uses her pistol. But who knows, like I said, what is in the future. It also may be worth picking up, but also pistol might not be good enough. We don't know. So take that for what you will. Our next pick is the Viziertronic Model I. This is an equipment headpiece that acts kind of like a good wombo combo, though it does give you a good amount of Arcane Barrier, really good against those pesky wizards and Rune Blades. Arcane Barrier 2 is quite good against Rosetta Thorn. This card is a great card in the Boost Wombo Combo style deck, and if Boost is still a main focus of the Mechanologist class, I can see this card being particularly good. So pick it up while it's still cheap. Maybe get a foil version, maybe even get a cold foil version. The cold foil versions might be a little expensive. You can just get the regular version as well. Next up, we have the Magnetic Shockwave. This is a really interesting card that forces your opponent to block with their equipment, sometimes destroying it in the process. Great way to destroy your opponent's Fiendel's Spring Tunics and a myriad of other great equipment that have that blade break mechanic. Oh, destroying your opponent's New Horizon if they're a ranger is absolutely devastating. Poor ranger players. So Magnetic Shockwave, another really great cheap card that could see play in the future, and it's just a really cool card with a very unique effect. I love stuff like this, and if Mechanologist is going to be prevalent in the next main Flesh and Blood draftable set, this is a great card to pick up right now. The second to last card that we're going to talk about today is High Octane. This is an incredibly powerful card that gives you a ton of action points in certain circumstances, and it replaces itself and lets you draw a card. This is the real deal. This is going to be a powerhouse card in any Mechanologist deck. And so if Mech becomes a really big thing in the future, this is the card, other than number 1, that you will want a full playset of. Mark my words, you will want a full playset of High Octane if Mechanologist becomes a big deal. This card is so powerful, and it could define decks. It's just a huge, I don't want to say combo piece, but I mean, it kind of acts like a combo piece, but even outside of that, it gives you a ton of value. Combine that with cards that let you draw more cards, and you can have an amazing, explosive, huge turn. So don't discount the High Octane. And the final card that we're going to talk about today is, you guessed it, the Teclo Foundry Heart. This is the Mechanologist Legendary. It blocks really well. It gives you resources over time. This is an incredibly powerful card. Not only does it just help your game plan, but it also helps keep you alive. This is one of the true, contenders to contest the Fiendel's Spring Tunic. And this is why, Mechanologist can be a very, very hardy class. Kind of in the same way that Runeblade is kind of a hardy class, because they have cards like the Grasp of the Arknight that block really well and give them advantage over time. The Teclo Foundry Heart does the exact same thing, and currently it is, not the most expensive legendary out there. It's not the cheapest, but it's also not the most expensive. Absolutely fantastic card. Highly recommend picking it up, because if Mech gets big, you're gonna wish you had one. And those are our top 5 cards to pick up right now. We're talking all about Mechanologist today. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of our list of cards to pick up. What cards would you regret not picking up right now if they spiked and Mechanologist became a big deal early in 2023 when the next Flesh and Blood set launches? Thank you for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends. It all helps grow the channel and grow this amazing game of Flesh and Blood that we all love. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.